while kissing his bicep. Or if he was just being his usual competitive self. He'd either be singing the "Let's Take a Shot" song, or everything about Chuck was about making everybody laugh, bringing everybody together, having a good time. It's hard to replace that. In fact, when I first met Chuck, I had just started dating Ashley. They were best friends. Came over to the house and immediately told me that he could outdrink me and challenged me to a competition. And I was like, he's this guy. Like everybody, who is this guy? Why is he so amazing in every way? I won, just so everybody knows. But I started to think it was like a ploy to get me away from her because I threw up on her later. So luckily it actually worked out. I don't know. He's going to be missed. He was one of our 4 every single week for golf. For the last few years, it's always me and Chuck trying to break that elusive 100. God, it's hard. It's so hard. We'd be playing for $1 a hole, and still it'd be like World War III if he lost one. So competitive, and it was a huge deal. And God, I'm gonna miss it because the rest of us are not good at all. I don't know. There's nobody like Chuck. One minute he'd be annoying the hell out of you, the next you'd be peeing your pants because something he said was so damn funny. And I think that's what everybody's going to miss most about him. I think probably every single one of us has one of those pee your pants memories of Chuck. Those will never die. We're always going to have those every day the rest of our lives. So, I'm a Saints fan, but I would constantly get texts from Chuck how the Saints suck. When Aaron's going to kill him, Drew Brees needs to go down, and this, that, and the other. So tonight I will root for the Niners. Hopefully they win and Chuck's up. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you, Ben. This time, Ryan McClellan. For those of you who don't know, my name's Ryan McClellan. I met Charles Silverman about 7 years ago while both working at P.F. Chang's in downtown Walnut Creek. Although I don't remember exactly when we met, I do remember he didn't waste any time in challenging me to an arm wrestling match. He beat me pretty handily, and then went on to explain how he had 15-inch biceps. Needless to say, Charles and I got along right away. Soon after, Charles left P.F. Chang's, and I figured our friendship would halt. It would slowly become just old work buddies. Little did I know, quite the opposite happened. Charles quickly changed from being a former work acquaintance to one of my dearest friends. Quite simply, Charles made me laugh. He had one of the most infectious personalities I'd ever known. We spent the next few years laying by pools, arguing over who had the better tan in the middle of summer, spreading the word on his ever-growing biceps, and generally terrorizing downtown Monte Creek. As shown by how many people are here today, Charles seemed to know everyone in the East Bay. It was always the first to introduce me to someone new. In turn, he always treated the friends I introduced to him with kindness and respect. His smile and laugh were contagious, and he seemed to make any room brighter and more fun by simply walking into it. I feel very fortunate to be able to call him one of my very best friends. I can't begin to describe how much I'll miss him. He had such an impact on my daily life, and there won't be a day that goes by where I won't think of him. I'll miss his silly texts, his classic Charles laugh, and his famous impressions. From bacon in a frying pan, to fork in a garbage disposal, to his Daniel Day-Lewis voice. A lot of people forget Daniel Day-Lewis voice. I'll miss our long summer days laying by the pool, and our long nights in the living room playing pool. But most of all, I will simply miss my friend. I knew he'd kill me if I didn't say this. But he was my papa, and I was his Pooh Bear. Now, Carl.
Hi, everybody. For any of you who don't know me, my name is Charles Silverman, and I was extraordinarily lucky to have Charles Silverman in my life. I think we can all feel a sense of gratitude for each other's company on this day of remembrance. You are all, you are all amazing in your own ways, and I hope we'll hold on to and strengthen that sense of togetherness that Charles facilitated between us while he was alive. Obviously, we're here to celebrate a life that was brilliant, colorful, memorable, caring, and I would go on to say transcendent. For me personally, Charles was a guy I could tell anything to. He knew more embarrassing, unbecoming, just pathetic things about me than just about anybody. And all this could sound selfish. For me to lose that is pretty devastating. Charles was truly an irreplaceable part of my life, and I'm sure most of you feel like this. One thing that was apparent about Charles was his natural inclination towards bringing people together. I would go so far as to say that he had an undeniable charisma that, not to sound cliche, but could truly light up a room. People of all types gravitated towards him, and I think that when you look around this room, his legacy of bringing people together is quite evident. As much time as I did spend with Charles, there continued to be a sense of looking forward to spending time with him. He was truly like a brother to me. And like brothers, we fought sometimes. We knew how to push each other's buttons. And as strange as it might sound to say, I think that probably brought us closer. I have not truly felt what a tragedy feels like until now. I still wake up thinking somehow I imagined this whole thing. I sometimes go numb, begin shaking, just as I did when the news was confirmed. However, in the long run, I do believe that we will grow stronger as a result of this. What once seemed like major life setbacks will likely now feel like minor nuisances that can easily be navigated. I just want to close by saying once again, I was truly fortunate to have Charles in my life, and I believe we all were. I will always love him, and he'll never be forgotten.
Thank you, Carl. At this time, Ryan Romano.
These last 12 days have been tough for all of us, living a nightmare that we wish we could wake up from. Looking out at all of you, I know Jeff would be touched, honored, and happy to have you all in one place together. The memories I have with Chuck are endless. The laughs we shared gave me cramps in my side. He was more like my brother that drove me crazy, but still my best friend. I look forward to having Chuck as one of my bridesmaids one day, even though Chuck was convinced I'd never get married. When I think of the time I spent with Chuck over the years, so many memories come to me. I would like to share every single one of them up here, but it's sure hard to keep them PG when it comes to Chuck. But that is what I loved about him the most. I could tell him anything, no matter what the subject, and he would return the favor with a little too many details sometimes. One of the most recent memories I have of the goofy and pointless things Chuck and I would argue about is when I said cooking cupcakes was easier than building a gingerbread house. To determine who was right, we decided to survey our fellow Target shoppers. Chuck won, of course. His charisma could capture the vote of any stranger that he came into contact with. I will miss our fun adventures and our meaningless fights. Jess and I will miss waking you up with pots and pans and antiquing you. It was clear that you touched many lives during your 29 years with us. I know my life wouldn't be the same without you. I would give anything to have given you a big hug and say goodbye. I love you, Chuck, and I miss you forever. I'm also speaking on behalf of Jessica Bruno. Jess and Charles were best friends. There aren't very many people that know her like he did. He is the older brother she never had, and he looked out for her, even when she didn't want him to. Some of you know how often they argue just to turn around and hug it out. They just look at each other in the middle of a fight and just start laughing, though it wouldn't last any longer. They were each other's go-to friends on weekends. When they didn't have anything planned, they could always find something to do. They would go boating, rafting, to sporting events, to the pool, camping, to the beach, a champagne brunch, or sometimes they would relax and watch a movie at home. The three of us would hang out at his house, most of the time just sit there doing our own things on our own phones, or playing games on SD iPad without even having to say a word, just enjoying each other's company. Jess and Chuck also enjoyed day trips to Tahoe to snowboard and occasionally gamble. Chuck was one of Jessica's first influences in poker, and they enjoyed playing cards together. They went to the Grand on random Sunday nights and even spent one Christmas night at Cash Creek with Mike and Dave. They had a very unique friendship, and she will never forget all the memories they made. One of Chuck's greatest qualities was that he always lived his life to the fullest and loved to laugh and smile. When Jess needed a friend, he was there for her. They have been through a lot over the years, but no matter where life took them, they knew they could count on one another. She asked me to speak on her behalf and to close this message to Charles. You are my best friend. Every day I will miss you. Thank you for all of my favorite memories and the times we shared. I love you more than you ever knew.
Thank you, Brian. Kelly Boyce is going to come at this time, and she is coming. For those of you that have come in a little bit late, we've already done this once, so don't feel like we're pointing you out. There are seats up here in the front 2 rows, and there are a few on the front over here. The family would just love for you to be comfortable and not have to stand during this. So if you want to just make your way down at this time, that would be perfectly appropriate.
My name is Kelly Boysen. I've known Chuck for almost 15 years. Over the years, Chuck has given us many gifts: his laughter, his kind heart, and his overall love. The last gift Charles bestowed upon us is the opportunity to get together and share stories about his life. We've heard stories today that we've never heard, or even ones that have slipped our memory. I hope these stories can stay alive forever. I'd like to share a few of my own memories with Chuck. Last Sunday, we were going through pictures to make a collage, which is over there. While going through Ashley Brennan's old pictures, we came across her old yearbook from Condolet High School. As you know, Condolet High School is an all-girls school. Chuck went to Cleveland Valley. And Ashley's cousin said, "Maybe Chuck signed your yearbook." And we laughed. I said, "No, he wouldn't. He went to Cleveland Valley." And oddly enough, he managed to sign her yearbook, an entire page. I want to share a few lines from what he wrote, because it shows his comical and caring side towards his friends. Chuck wrote, "This previous summer was fun, for the most part. Hanging out with you and your friends was quite entertaining at times. Before I met you, I never dealt with so much drama all the time. I must say, it was fun to gossip with you. you would be glad to hear the best thing to come from hanging out with your girls was you and I becoming the best of friends. I truly thought I was not going to stay in touch with you or with several of your friends, but guess what? I did. And Chuck was right. He stayed best friends with Ashley for 11 years after that. The special thing about Chuck is he always lit up the room. Over 4 years ago, after finishing, or I guess attempting to finish Beta Breakers with a group of friends, we decided to go to my place of work in the city called City Tavern. Chuck was the life of the party in the restaurant, making friends with random patrons, chatting up the staff. To this day, every time I go in and visit my old coworkers, they ask about Chuck. Maybe because it was what he was wearing, tidy whities and knee-high socks. But I think it was more of his personality just shining through that everyone loved. Chuck loved to connect people. If you take a minute to look around the room, you notice Chuck formed a lot of these friendships. He loved being around people and making us feel special. Over the past year, I was working overseas, and every time I made a prayer trip home, he would make sure he came and saw me. We are so blessed to have Chuck in our lives, whether it's been 2 days or 29 years. Chuck, I love you. I'm going to miss you dearly, and I'll cherish every minute I spent with you. Thank you.
And now Matthew Algerie can share.
My wife, Noelle, is Chuck's cousin, and she asked me to read this on her behalf because she thought she was going to have a tough time getting through it. Honestly, I think I did as well. So this is what Noelle wrote. Today's a very difficult day for all of us. Some lost a friend, a nephew, a son, a brother. However, to me, I lost my cousin. I believe that Charles would have wanted me and all of us to celebrate his life. Charles was a wonderful person who lived his life with no regrets. Charles was about 8 years younger than me. I remember the times my sister and I dressed up with him when he was only 3 years old. He was a great sport and absolutely loved the attention. Little did I know that this characteristic would follow him for all the years. He was quite outspoken and outgoing, and the life of the party, as many of you have seen in photos or witnessed yourself. Charles and I had a great cousin relationship. We had this sibling rivalry thing going, as we were both the second-born children in our family, as if this meant something better than firstborn. Well, it did to us. It was our bond that we created. Not to mention it bugged the crap out of our older siblings. Charles took a lot of pride in his family. He would always invite us to dine where he worked. He introduced us to all of his co-workers and customers he knew there. When I would meet these people, they'd always give Chuck a bad time. They'd go on to tell me what a great guy he is, as if I didn't know. He was very good at his job, even with me as a difficult customer, demanding stronger drinks and more soup just to rile him up. Just about everyone that came in contact with him felt as if they were a special part of his life. He had a way to make everyone smile. For my wedding, we planned a cruise. We were fortunate enough to have all of our close family and friends attend. From his complaining about being required to wear the wedding t-shirt that everyone in our group was wearing, of which he hated so much because it was hideous according to him, to late night room service requiring thinly sliced onions on his burger. Chuck kept us laughing the entire trip. He was quite generous on this trip. He would treat everyone with fancy cocktails, indicating that this run was on him. He was also a high roller at the ship's casino. Chuck learned he was a little too generous when he wasn't allowed to disembark due to his credit card being declined. We all had a good laugh when he called my cell phone freaking out, asking where we were so we could save him. Good thing his mom was right next to me and able to go back and
bail him out, get him off the ship. I remember when we went to Las Vegas and he met my favorite actor, Ben Affleck, and got his autograph. Boy, was I jealous, and he knew it. And then there was a time we went to the A's game, and he was given an autographed baseball by the team. Somehow, good things found him. I have countless memories of Chuck to cherish and to hold close to my heart as long as I live. We will all remember him for his great qualities, crazy antics, and treasure the time we spent with him. I celebrate his life today, and I'm honored for the opportunity to share our stories with you. I love you, Charles.
Last but not least, we're going to hear from Chuck's brother.
First off, I want to thank every single person here for showing up. My family and we really appreciate it. I know my brother was loved by so many of you. My brother was an amazing man. He will be sorely missed. He was 2 years younger than me, and the grief that I had is almost unbearable. However, today, I'm going to try to be strong in remembrance of my brother, and I want to try to put that grief aside so that we may celebrate my brother's life and all the goodness he has brought to so many people. Even though I didn't see him as often as I'd like to, we live in different states, I didn't talk to him as much as I liked, didn't write to him enough, we shared a special one. Whenever I would make it home for Christmas or for whatever excuse, and I had to come back to the Bay Area, I'd get off the plane, and my mom would pick me up, I'd go straight to his restaurant and surprise him. Whenever I'd see him, he'd come into view, we'd see each other, he just kind of grinned at me and I grinned back at him, and we knew we had a connection. It's a connection that, we had and we just understood. Even if my brother and I wouldn't always see eye to eye with everything, I know he loved me just as much as I loved him. No matter how much he would frustrate me, I still made it a priority to get together with him every single time I came down. Every time I tell myself in my head, I'm going to not talk to my brother, but he's just so addicted that I can't listen to it. This is the part of him that made him so special. He had that likeness to him that no matter what you would do, he would always have you coming back to hang out with him. He was unique, crazy, outgoing, charismatic, and he had so much confidence that he stood apart from most people. Even after his passing, he keeps surprising me. I came across photos of him when I was hanging out with Stephen and Ashley and Ben. One of them was a picture of him in Cancun back years ago. I would say it's maybe just after high school. But he had a picture of him standing in front of a pyramid. And I didn't know my brother went out and did anything like that. What I found out from his friends was in the midst of a big party scene, he decided to wake up at 5 a.m., take a 5-hour bus ride to go check out these Mayan ruins, and he was all by himself. Not gonna lie, that's shocked. Heck, I mean, it just makes me more proud of him. Aside from that trip, I'm happy that my brother could share experiences with me in other parts of the world. He came to my basic training graduation in San Antonio, Texas. While he was there, he bought a cowboy hat, Wrangler jeans, a Wrangler shirt, and cowboy boots, just because he was in Texas and he thought he would fit in. He also made the trip with me, with my dad, when I was in Okinawa, Japan. He was there for a week. He got to experience a lot of the island, as well as a lot of the nightlife that Chuck loved so much. Like you heard earlier from my cousin, he went on a cruise with us to the Caribbean, and just so you know, that is where he got his famous picture of him in his swimming shorts on the beach that he had on his Facebook profile for like 5 years. I know he has made many other trips with many friends over the years, and I'm glad that he got to experience more in his span of his lifetime than most people do over their full lives. I am thankful for all the experiences my brother took part in. I'm happy he was pursuing a college degree. I'm thankful he had a job at Havana that he loved, because I know when he made the switch from Piacenza to Havana, he loved it working there, and I talked to him 2 years later, and he still loved working there. That means a lot, to work at a place that you love. It makes you just that much happier in life. I'm going to miss him so much. It will be hard for my family and I to live on without Charles, but I know he would want us to continue living our lives being positive and strong, just like he was. I will always cherish his memory and take peace in the fact knowing he will always live inside me, my family, and everyone else that he loved.
Well, let's put together a slideshow. We want you just to relax and enjoy some of the memories.